The third day of the NBA Combine has wrapped, and we had more scrimmages to sort through yesterday. I did pay attention to these scrimmages, much like day two. If you watched the video summarizing day two on the channel, you heard our general thoughts already. Kind of unserious scrimmage basketball game. Some guys took it very seriously, some guys not so much. I thought that held true into day three, but Brian Ralph is with me today to help me break down what his biggest takeaways are. Ralph, what'd you see from day three at the combine?
Like you, I saw some guys who wanted to be there, some guys who did not. I saw some inconsistencies. There are some guys who are winners earlier in the week who, if you're looking at just Thursday, were losers. They may have been big risers because you put up a good performance, then you put up a bad performance on Thursday there, and maybe has some realization as to why you were not projected to be higher. And some of the question marks that come with you in the pre-draft process.
Yeah, you saw, I think, some guys' inconsistencies. And I think the reality is most of the guys who are playing in the scrimmages at this point in the combine still
Right.
are guys that have major inconsistencies, right?
Right.
Who was it? Oh, Maxime Renault, who is a
Yep.
guy I think almost all of us at Sleepers love. Came out, had a great game, was one of our biggest winners on day two of the combine, and immediately shut it down. It was like, I'm not scrimmaging on day three. So there's quite a
Todd
few guys.
Pettiford. Todd Pettiford
Yeah.
should have done that too.
He should have. You didn't like what you saw from Tahad on day three. Are you? I mean, I look. We said after day two he's gone, and then
Yeah.
he had not a stinker, but certainly not as good of a scrimmage day in day three. What do you think's going to happen with Tahad at this point?
Yeah. I think he's gone too. I love his upside in the NBA. Like if I'm a team, I'm actually probably happier he had a bad day too, so he doesn't like continue to rise further or a bad second scrimmage. But just a reminder that he was awesome, but then you go put up a 4-15 shooting performance with 6 turnovers. That there's still work to be done.
Yeah.
Right? I think it maybe slowed the hype train a little bit, but there's lots of reasons why the hype train's there in the first place.
Yeah, or maybe my flip on this would be he should still go. He is
Yeah.
gone, I think, but maybe this is why he's not sneaking into lottery territory, right? Like even if he
Yeah.
goes, we're talking like a mid to late first round pick, even with the upside that people love. It's because of games like this, and I think his tenure at Auburn backs this up. There would be one game where he would go for 30. There would be one game where he would just be very quiet and be the third guard that you even had to worry about with Auburn. Couple guys for me that I just circled that stood out that I thought needed a good performance before the combine ends because they hadn't played great up till that point. Kobe Brea was the first. Kobe Brea did
Yep.
not hit shots on day two of the combine, the first day of scrimmages. He did hit shots in day three. He was 6 for 12 from the floor, 4 for 8 from three, 16 points. I thought he looked great. His team got a big win. It seemed like everybody on whatever that team Mueller was had a pretty awesome game together. But I think you saw the vision for Kobe Brea. And it's one of those things. I remember last year at the combine, Peyton Samford was there. And a lot of people
Mhm.
thought he was going to go. He just needed to catch fire at the combine. He never did. And he came back as a result of it. Kobe Brea finally had the caught fire moment. And I think that bodes well for his chances to be selected.
Yeah, I think so too. Because if the one negative that could have hurt Brea, because he's a sniper. If you struggle against NBA caliber competition or fringe NBA caliber competition, we're consistently going up against guys who have the same size and athletic profile that you have. So to at least have one day where you're shooting really efficiently against that competition eases any potential concerns there. So I agree with you. He was one on my list as well.
Mackenzie Mbako continues to play well too. Just want to give him like a head nod because I think you and I did the Mackenzie Mbako commitment video, and I kind of just laughed at it. It was like, hey, he's sort of the perfect empty numbers guy for a buckyball system, and hopefully it happens, and I will go from there. But he's been awesome pretty much every second of the G League Elite Camp into the NBA Combine. At this point, like I would think twice if I'm an NBA GM, like mid second round, do I want Mackenzie Mbako maybe?
I was gonna say everyone seems to be talking about Ibaka as like a big winner, and it bodes well for what he can be at A&M next season. And every time I see that, I'm like, are we sure he's gonna be at A&M? He's probably gonna be at A&M, but are we sure? Because if I'm a team in the second round and one of these teams that has a ton of second round picks, and I'm let's say a lottery caliber team, why would I not give him like a promise of at least a two-way?
Right. Yeah.
Because the you played in a let's just call it an he played out of position in Indiana, played in a system that was not the most friendly for his skill set. Let's put it that way. And so now you have a week plus of him looking like the guy he was billed at high school. Why would you not gamble on that potentially at a discount to what he could be if he excels at A&M next year?
Yeah, I agree. I think you know, outside of the first round, I don't think there's a ton of quote unquote shooters with size that I love in this draft. Like we just mentioned Kobe Brea, he's sort of the pinnacle of it. But
Right.
if you're going to draft a guy specifically for like floor spacing purposes, Mackenzie can do a little more than that, and he has great size. So I don't know. You almost have to separate everything he's shown in college to this point with like what he's looked like in the last 2 weeks. And normally I don't like ignoring 2 years of sample size, but he was in such a unique situation at Indiana. He has looked like the high school prospect that was billed coming into Indiana for the last 2 weeks. And at this point, I kind of hope he gets a shot if that's what he wants to do. I had a couple others just to shout, guys that I thought had various levels of like, yeah, not so good earlier this week that finally delivered good performances. Bryce Williams may have been the
Yes.
best individual scrimmage performer on the second day here. 7 for 12 from the floor, 4 for 9 from three, 24 points. He was 0 for 8 from the floor the day before this. And
Yeah.
I was making jokes at his expense. Good to see him bounce back. I still don't know that it's going to be enough to get him drafted, but maybe enough to get a shot in the G League somewhere. You also had RJ Lewis, who has been up and down this week, 16 points, 6 for 14. John Tonji, 17 points, 8 for 15 from the floor. A lot of wing scorers showed
Yeah.
up and showed what they can do here. Any of those guys, do you think their performance means anything additional to you?
I don't think it really bolsters their draft stock. I throw Jameer Watkins in that mix as well, guys who had really good performances on the second day of scrimmages. He had 23 with 5 steals. Like he played really well too. If anything, to me, it solidified like why those guys are there, but didn't help them at
Yeah.
all. Right. I think Miles Bird might be another one to add to the mix. He didn't have the eye-popping numbers, but his impact was certainly felt. There wasn't anything day two that I think really moved the needle, and it's hard to move the needle on day two, but it kept guys from hurting themselves significantly, which I think was really in play for a number of those guys you mentioned.
This video is presented by Underdog Fantasy, and they've got a free pick tonight that you're going to want to take advantage of. Anthony Edwards to score over 0.5 points. Ant scores every single playoff game, as far as I know. Card, has he ever not scored?
Not since I've been alive, and that's 32 years for those wondering out there.
That pick sounds extremely free. Promo code SLEEPERS as a first time depositor at Underdog Fantasy. You can get up to $1,000 in bonus bets and a free pick. This is the shortest ad read we've ever done. You're welcome. Back to the video. Most of those guys we just mentioned, even the ones that still have college eligibility and or even are committed to a school right now, I think most of those guys we just mentioned are guys that if you put a lie detector test to them, they would say, I really want to be in the NBA next season.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I think you almost, they played with a sense of urgency in the final day of scrimmages here, right? And it showed, and that's great. Now let's get negative. There's a huge group of guys that I think did not play with a huge sense of urgency. And we'll see if you had the same takeaways as I did on some of these. Milos Uzan, largely rumored to have a decision between Houston or going. I think every college basketball person believes he should come back to Houston. For whatever reason, this
Yes.
seems like a serious decision at this point. He was 2 for 8 from the floor in 22 minutes, finished with 7 points. He did have 6 assists, but I don't know. I just watching him in that scrimmage, he just didn't seem all that into it, if that makes sense. And it felt noticeable compared to what was happening earlier in the week. I don't know if anything shifted or not, but am I crazy for picking up on vibes that maybe Milos is starting to think about returning to school here?
I think he should. The NBA draft stuff came from that like really hot month and a half he had that extended from January into February where he looked phenomenal. And it was the reason why a lot of people thought Houston could win the national championship. And they still made it, to the title game. But he went back to playing more of a complementary role than being the 20.5 assist guy he was there for a real stretch. And I think just given his track record in college, it's looking more and more like that true like NBA looking player production that we saw may have been more of a flash than who he is now. We kind of chalked that up to the Houston development. Maybe he needs a full offseason of Houston development to get that more consistently. I think this may have been a bit of a reality check for where he's really at.
Yeah, off the bench too. Not that like role in the scrimmage matters, but I don't know. Just felt
Yeah.
felt like going through the motions a little bit for Milos, the king of going through the motions this week, who has not ever really had a good moment this week. It's just been constant going through the motions. Darion Williams, Mr. Williams has been rumored to have almost like a silent commit or a silent offer in front of him, theoretically from Kansas, but we know other schools at least made phone calls earlier in the cycle as well. There was not one moment this week at the NBA Combine where I looked at Darian Williams and thought he intends to go to the NBA. I think he's happy he got this invite, and I think this is just like the least intense version of Darion Williams I've ever seen. In 19 minutes in this scrimmage, he was 1 for 4 from the floor, 0 for 2 from 3. Did have 7 rebounds, I guess. Round of applause for that. But this kid's capable of like really impacting things. And in every scrimmage situation he was in this week, he just didn't. I have to think he's returning to school and may know where he's going.
He strikes me as somebody who committed to the draft for the feedback and to drive up his price. School's bidding for him. I don't think there's a real intention of him going to the draft, and he's approaching it that way. But there are extracurricular factors that playing in the combine can help, and I think that's more the motivation for why he was there.
Yeah, it's one of the beautiful things about Combine Week is there's different ways to get things out of it. You can have very different intentions on what your goals are this
Yep.
week and still meet your goals. And I think Darion Williams is well on his way to getting where he wants to go. It's just back to school somewhere. Maybe not Texas Tech, but somewhere else. The last one I want to run by you, I'm in the middle on. It's my guy. It's my potential superstar. It's Mr. 60-40. Oh, no, wait, 50-50, Axel Lendenborg. He has been called one of the biggest winners at the combine by pretty much everyone in attendance. Like I've texted people privately about this, but it's also very public at this point. You go find winners and losers lists from people covering this. They're going to have Yaxel Lendenborg on the list. With that said, I challenge you to watch the second day of scrimmages and tell me that he looked the way he did the first day of the scrimmages. He didn't. He did not have a good day in the second scrimmages here. He finished in 22 minutes, 2 for 6 from the floor, did not attempt a 3, did not get to the free throw line, only 3 rebounds and 2 turnovers. He was minus 21 in his 22 minutes, finished with 4 points. His fingerprints were all over the first scrimmage, and we talked about it on day 2. It didn't even feel like he played all that well, but he was clearly one of the best players out there. Day 2 of scrimmages was not that. It felt like a very disengaged Yaxel. And
Yes.
I understand I can't really speak on this one way or the other, but there's some tea leaves here from people that are asking the questions that I think people are suspecting he may be leaning to return to school and go to Michigan. Am I jumping the gun with excitement on that, Ralph? What's your interpretation of his performance on day 3?
I think he's much more than 50-50, one way or the other. I don't know which way that is, but he seemed like somebody who has made up his mind of what he was going to do, or at least had felt like he had done enough before the second scrimmage. The aggressiveness wasn't there the same way. The activity wasn't there the same way. And that's not like a knock for him that we've had throughout his college career. Right? He's been somebody who's been pretty reliable, pretty consistent game to game. So I'm taking that very much as he felt like he had done what he needed to do.
Yeah, unless Dane Danger shows up, right? Then sometimes the lackadaisicalness comes back. But no, I like that point. I should have thought of it that way. I'm getting eager with excitement here. He very much could have just made his decision on, oh, I'm going league. I've done enough. And that leads
Or
to
he made his decision that
lackadaisical.
he's coming back and that he has some things he needs to work on,
Yeah,
and just was kind of coasting. Although that team too, he was on Ding Pate's team too, right?
he was.
Yeah, Ding Pate was minus 32 in 24 minutes.
Yeah. They put Yaxel, Darion Williams, Dink, on that team. RJ Lewis also, like a lot of the guys with college decisions plus Dink, and it didn't go well for Team Damerkant in this game. They were down like 20-2, I think, early. So we'll see. There's decisions to come, but I do feel like coming out the end of the back end of this combine here, I feel like we have a little more clarity or at least suspicion on where a few of our favorites that played this week will be taking their talents next year. And I don't know. All in all, did you enjoy NBA Combine Week the way that we did?
Always enjoy NBA Combine Week. Are you kidding? We get so into these guys, we're going to get picked 25th.
I think we need to go next year. Like when Katz is
I would
scooping
love to
things,
go.
it'd be fun to send us out in our fresh sleepers quarter zips.
I would love that. You know, I rock a good quarter zip.